Been a wild weekend in the NBA. Too much to even catch up on here in the intro, but we still have ourselves an NBA DFS slate tonight. Of course, some betting as well to do. So we're going to do what we always do here. We compare my projections, some of the industry leaders out there in Stokastic, and of course, our friends at Unabated. We're also going to hop into the world of the DFS sims and the betting world, finding the best bets again, courtesy of our friends at Unabated. By the end of this video, you know the must plays for today's slate, no matter what you're gambling on today. But let's get into it. And yes, a crazy weekend. I'm sure I should have more thoughts up top here. Probably won't surprise you to hear that me, the guy who named his child after Luka Doncic, thinks the Mavs are stupid. But I've been reading about the trade all weekend, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have. You also have the De'Aaron Fox trade. He's going to the Spurs. Unclear if he'll be able to go today or not. I assume not. There is a chance because he's not on the injury report as a trade pending, I think is where some of the other guys who are not playing today are listed. So lots to worry about, lots to wonder about here with the trades themselves and all the Q-tag guys we have, including Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Edwards, John Morant, Alperen Sengun, Damian Lillard. We've already seen Giannis Antetokounmpo get ruled out today. Chris Middleton ruled out. Bobby Portis doubtful, so not likely to play. As a result, Lillard's status along with Brook Lopez's status be crucial to know today to know what value we'll have in a spot where Milwaukee's going to get absolutely blown out versus the Thunder. Miles Turner, Jordan Poole, the aforementioned Brook Lopez, Naz Reid, he would benefit a bit today in extra minutes. No Julius Randle today, so that matters quite a bit. Vasily Micic also matters here. If he doesn't play, KJ Simpson gets more minutes. So even the shittiest players have a Q tag right now. Matter a good amount for today's slate. Probable guys, Trae Young, Josh Hart, Draymond Green, doubtful Jalen Suggs, Marcus Smart, and also ruled out, we talked about Jalen Williams ruled out. That's one I don't think I mentioned. Giannis ruled out. Some of the key ones there's some other fringe players. Kason Wallace being out for the Thunder matters a little bit. We'll talk about it all as we get in here, and shout out to the chat. Hopefully I'm not muted when I see chats going. Always worries me now. New week, same chaos. That is true. A few things in life surprised me. That trade immediately thought Shams got hacked. I think you're not alone with that one. OG Anunoby is out as well. Yes, opening some minutes for the Knicks. Miles McBride, potentially a value here. We'll see. And our guy, Chunk, who was a very big Dallas fan, I guess still is a big Dallas fan in general, inherited the Lakers over many years of my life. Kobe, so won't be hesitant to switch over to the dark side. If you are a jilted Mavs fan, I would certainly not blame you for switching over to the Lakers. Your team botched that one about as bad as you could. And I don't think the AD part of the trade's bad, but not canvassing the league more, even if you're worried about the rumors getting out and kind of the power being exerted by agents and player and all that. You owe it to your franchise to get more firsts in for a guy who's previously been a player who dragged his team to the NBA Finals last year. Obviously, Kyrie played a good part. Your PJ Washingtons, whatever, they all mattered a little bit. Like, that was Luka, who did all that work last year. And a guy, too, who's been, a five-time All-NBA guy. So just a stupid trade, I think, overall, even though probably short-term, I think, works out for both teams. Long-term, definitely going to work out for the Lakers, would be my guess. Your top players right now, Nikola Jokic is number one. So Russell Westbrook, one of the guys who's out today. Peyton Watson also out for the Nuggets. Doesn't matter quite as much. But Jokic, most of the day, had him over 70 fantasy points. Vegas total moved a little bit. I think Stokastic dropped Jokic's minutes by a little bit here. So I have now 70 fantasy points, rounding up 69.8. A very nice number here. I'm getting Jokic in 39% of my lineups. The field's at 27%. So Jokic, easy to get to today. He's the man in the thumbnail. We'll get a little bit of a boost overall for the spot going against going against the Pelicans. Easy situation for him to win theoretically, but also one where you have Westbrook out there siphoning a few less rebounds away, a few less assists away. As a result, Jokic, I think, is going to be one of the best players in the slate. Number two, SGA. You have Jalen Williams out. So this year, SGA in court time without Jalen Williams, of course, the not the one with the Y, the other one. Jalen Williams has averaged 1.8 fantasy points a minute as SGA in court time without Jalen Williams, with 42% usage, 34% assist rate, and that's at 1,150 possessions. So SGA this year has been basically a Giannis level player, a Jokic level player in court time without Jalen Williams. Now, how much does he go in this game when you will have a Milwaukee team that I would say is pretty likely to be down Dame and Brook Lopez in addition to being down Giannis, in addition to being down Middleton and Portis? And I would say that you're probably going to get Lillard and Lopez out because, number one, they both played, Lillard played 36 minutes, I think, yesterday, maybe 37. Lopez played about 32, I think. These guys just played yesterday. You had the rest of their teammates ruled out in a spot, too, where now Milwaukee, you don't have many chances to win against the Thunder if you are going to be a depleted roster. So for them, I think you do get those guys out. As a result, SGA could really put up 50-point lead in this game against a Milwaukee team that's going to mostly suck. But that said, SGA, Jokic, easy to play them together, easy enough to play them together. I think people will do that tonight, and you probably should. Fields at 16% for SGA. I got double the field on that. So I'm up on Jokic, up on SGA. I think the value that we're going to talk about throughout this video is going to matter a lot for the slate and getting to those two guys. Cade Cunningham, 10-3 salary for him. I have him projected at 55.9. Stokastic has been 53. We talk about him every video. Basically, I don't think the price tag fully reflects for him how he's been a better player overall without Jaden Ivey. Tend to get Cade Cunningham a little more than a 5x value in most slates, the price tag being where it is for him. So today, Cade Cunningham, not as priority of a play to me as Jokic, as SGA, but he projects pretty well. It's just shy of 56 fantasy points. I'm at 22% ownership in my top 150 compared to the field's 11% ownership right now. Victor Wembanyama, I am low on here compared to the other guys. Would rather have Jokic, would rather have SGA, would rather have Cade. And this is assuming, again, that De'Aaron Fox does not play. If Fox were to play, I think Wemby would be just mispriced at 10.8 overall. Right now for Wemby, though, 15% ownership going his way. I'd rather have Cade. I've got Wemby at 1% exposure right now. So pretty anti-stand on Wemby. I'm always a little bit low on him. But Jokic, to me, I mean, projects about 15 points higher. Cade is $500 cheaper. I have him projected up, a little bit overall. So I'm not a big Wemby guy generally on these slates. He certainly has the upside to be a guy you can afford to pay for easily. Maybe he gets one more game here without having to share usage as much, and he goes nuts in the spot. But I'm not sold on Wemby being the pay-up option I want here if the other guy's projecting a lot better. We got, let's see, who else to note here? Sabonis, you're getting no De'Aaron Fox, but still enough guys to kind of take enough usage overall. What the fuck, man? What kind of question is this? Technically, I did work with Stephanie when I worked at WWE, but I theoretically, sure, I guess. So, of all the chats to read, that's the one that I see out of the corner of my eye right away. Imagine a 6'9", 240-pound man who shoots himself as Jalen with a Y. Ain't nothing wrong with however you want to spell Jalen. I wouldn't want to. Jalen with a Y does seem like pretty friendly, but I wouldn't want to get in his way if he wanted to. If he wanted to say his name however he wants, he could say it's pronounced not like Jalen at all, and I'd be like, "Yes, sir. Good job, sir. You've done a great job choosing a name." Besides that, for these guys, Miles Bridges, big stand, I guess, for me, projection-wise, 50.1 compared to 44.2, 12% sim ownership in my top 150 compared to Fields' 5%. Bridges, as we talked about, when you have no LaMelo, no Brandon Miller, good spot overall. Also a situation where they're facing Washington, so I think Bridges at 9K, another pivot point to these, higher dollar options overall. Miles Bridges in the spot, I think underprojected right now by Stokastic. Mark Williams, a little bit closer to the projection. Another guy I have a pretty big stand on here. 27% of my top 150 lineups have him, as opposed to 11% for the field. Zion, pretty big boost overall. He is averaged in court time without Ingram and without DeJounte Murray. He has averaged 1.7 fantasy points per minute. There's a lot of guys in the slate getting kind of massive boosts for the guys that aren't playing. SGA without Jalen Williams, whoever's left from Milwaukee without Giannis and probably without Lillard as well. In this spot too, Zion without those two key Pelicans does matter for me here as well at 8,500. So I'm getting Zion 23% of my lineups, Fields at 7. It's a big slate. There's a lot of guys to like on the slate. There's also a lot of Q tags we talked at the beginning of the video here, of course, running through the Q tag tweet, the daily one from Underdog. So this could move around quite a bit over the next few hours, so please keep a close eye on things. You guys know that if you play NBA, but in particular, this is how the slate looks as of right now, about 4:09 p.m. on the East Coast, and it's going to move around, I'm sure, once one or two of these guys get ruled out that we're not expecting right now. Let us sort by value. So a couple things to note here. So obviously talk about Stokastic's minutes, the fact they haven't updated normally in the 3 o'clock hour the last week or so, last 2 weeks, I guess. So I've been doing the minutes middle of the day for myself. Basically, as injuries come out and all that. I was updating minutes today, and I had things a little bit different than Stokastic does. Did default to Stokastic's minutes at this point. But there's one guy who's not popping up as a value right now too much, but I'm going to highlight up top here because I think he might be the most important value on the slate. So Tyler Smith, basically the Bucks now, without having Middleton too, that matters a little bit, but no Portis, no Giannis. They don't have a power forward really. And obviously you could go a little bit smaller here against the Thunder, especially without Jalen Williams. You don't really need a true 4. But if they have no Brook Lopez as well, they just don't have any big men. Liam Robbins, one of their centers, is in the G League today. So Tyler Smith can end up playing a lot of minutes. He's a former G League Ignite guy. He also is something that's produced really well per minute on the year. Has averaged about 1.2 fantasy points per minute this year. Was only played about 40 minutes. So again, very small sample size stuff. But I think Tyler Smith might quietly be one of the most important players in the slate. So Stokastic has him at 13.2 minutes. I think there's a chance that if you do get Lopez out, and even if you don't, I think it could be that Tyler Smith gets a start as well. So Smith is a guy to watch out for here. There's going to be other Bucks who are values. You're missing a lot of guys, but a lot of usage and a lot of points and production with Giannis being out, with Portis being out, with Middleton being out, potentially with Lillard also being out, with Lopez potentially being out. There's going to be a lot of guys that are viable, but Tyler Smith is one I would really highlight at a 3K salary where he could be a guy that if he plays 30 minutes or even high 20s, he might get you 40 fantasy points at 3K. So he is the most important value play in the slate to me right now, even though there's more guys who are going to be up for a lot more. Yes, we got it. You guys love AJ Green. I understand. He's going to be out there a lot. He's not a rebounder. He's not a lone big man. He's just another guy in the wing, and a team that's got enough wings to go around. We're going to jack up threes and not be that good. If everybody's out for the Bucks, adding Lillard, adding Lopez on top, I think your two plays that I would really try to get to would be Ryan Rollins and Tyler Smith. You play AJ Green, like he's fine. He's going to shoot threes. He does nothing else on the court. So that's that. Other top values right now, Aaron Gordon, 26% of the field is there. I got him in 57% of my lineup. So for Aaron Gordon at this point, basically no Westbrook out there, frees him up to get more minutes overall. Probably Gordon playing around 30 minutes. Stokastic has him projected for 28.1 at $4,400 salary or $4,500 salary. Aaron Gordon is one of the better values in the slate. He is getting starter minutes. He can't underperform as he did on chalk at the end of last week, where he played his run of minutes. I think only put up like 20 fantasy points in a game. That could happen for Aaron Gordon, especially if you see more production going Jokic's way, more production going Murray's way. At this point, with Watson being out and with Westbrook being out, sort of hard for Gordon to not have a pretty good minutes floor, a decent minutes ceiling, and also be pretty productive relative to those minutes. So I think Aaron Gordon is a safer value compared to some other guys like Tyler Smith. Like he might not start. We won't know until 8 o'clock when that game starts. For Aaron Gordon, we know he's going to start. He's going to get good minutes. It's just, how much does he produce there? Does he give you a ceiling day? If you're playing cash for NBA, like he should be one of your first players in no matter what. Keon Ellis, another guy kind of like Aaron Gordon here, where technically a good value, 38% of the field projected to own him by Stokastic. I got him in 54% of my top 150 lineups. The issue for Keon Ellis, much like some of these guys here that we talk about sometimes, he's not a great producer overall in terms of court time without De'Aaron Fox this year. Keon Ellis has put up 0.86 fantasy points a minute, which is not bad, but not really game-breaking production over 1 fantasy point per minute for a guy who's going to start. Keon Ellis, too, going to go into a little bit of a usage vacuum here with guys like Malik Monk get more assists upside overall with no De'Aaron Fox out there. DeMar DeRozan becomes a closer proximity or, facsimile to what he's been in previous stops in his career. The usage goes up for him as well. I would have those guys today based on their previous sample sizes of court time without Fox. I'd have DeRozan at 28% usage. Malik Monk at 26% usage. Monk averages 1.2 fantasy points a minute. DeMar DeRozan this year without Fox averages 1 flat. Those guys take enough away for a Keon Ellis that he's 3,500. He looks good, but you have to keep in mind that he's not going to suddenly be De'Aaron Fox. He's going to more likely be the 4th option on the team, giving up a good amount of usage to the other guys that are out there. We got Jonas Valanciunas here. Again, the same situation we've had for him lately. Alex Sarr out again over the weekend. We did see Joe Val play 30 minutes. So we do know he's capable of playing the minutes in a game that's competitive. Say they're playing Charlotte. He's going against Mark Williams. Going to be close to the rim for the most part for the day. If he's not out there against Mark Williams, he goes against Diabate, who's not going to be a guy you're worried about keeping off the boards either. So for Jonas Valanciunas, as long as they don't get blown out by Charlotte, which is always a possibility for Washington, how they played lately, especially with Washington. Jordan Poole, Q-tag with an illness was a midday downgrade. Maybe they get smoked and they get blown out again. But if J-Val plays 30 minutes, you do expect him to put up, about 40 fantasy points based on how he's been per minute. I would get him about half my lineups today, and I have no issue with it, even though, again, these guys, there's going to be better values potentially that open up, especially if the Bucks chalk is there, and you get Lillard out and you get Lopez out. But right now, Gordon, Joe Val, Keon Ellis, those are your guys that are going to be good values with sort of a easier way to project to the top, as opposed to the other guys like your Tyler Smiths, like your Ryan Rollinses, if you got Lillard and Brook Lopez out from Milwaukee as well. Aaron Wiggins put up 60 fantasy points over the weekend with no Jalen Williams. So he's going to be really chalky here. Fields at 30%. I got him at 39%. He's been priced up a little bit for 5,300, but still has been about 0.9 fantasy points per minute this year without Jalen Williams. Let me confirm that. Yeah, 0.97 actually. So closer to 1 fantasy point per minute with 19% usage, 11% rebound rate, 12% assist rate. Does a little bit of everything in the game over the weekend as well. He kind of played more of a pure, filling in for Jalen Williams spot, where he got about 27% usage in that game, was getting up a lot of shots, and that's part of why he put up 60 fantasy points, because he played a shitload of minutes and basically was playing in a heightened version of himself. So Aaron Wiggins, I think, is a strong play. I don't agree with that Kenrich Williams is a real play. There's still enough minutes to go around for him to hit, but your one expectation would be that Aaron Wiggins gets a pretty good opportunity, because he got the carpet rolled out for him over the weekend. I was going through the game and actually watched some of the video from it too, because I was like, this is crazy to see Aaron Wiggins going this much. But he's been good all year, and clearly they gave more opportunity. But he is going to be, if he plays, you would assume fractional amounts of Jalen Williams, because he really played like Jalen Williams. He took basically all of Jalen Williams' usage in that last game. But obviously, if SGA takes more today, then you expect Wiggins to come down a little bit. It'll be a push-pull there, but I don't think Terrence Williams is the real play. It's a smart way to look at it, given that Wiggins, we had the same situation the other day. Wiggins played a shitload of minutes and went off. But there's a lot of minutes to go around for OKC because Caruso is out for them. Casey Wallace is also out. And then obviously we do have Jalen Williams out, as we talked about. Other values to note here. Michael Porter Jr. getting a little bit of an uptick as well because of having no Russell Westbrook out there, and also no Peyton Watson. Gets more minutes overall from Michael Porter Jr. Decent play at 32.5 minutes, but not like a value in a traditional sense. Miles McBride, another guy to highlight here. Stokastic gave him 27 minutes. I think you can make the case that he gets to 30 today. You have no OG Anunoby in, so it really opens things up a little bit. Last time it was kind of a split. Anunoby went out in the second half of that game, and you had McBride getting some extra minutes. Also, Precious Achiuwa getting extra minutes. So I think that's the case today. McBride going into one of the highest usage kind of situations. So if you don't play him here, I think I'd probably take the shot on the established kind of moving up to the starting unit value guys like Aaron Gordon, Keon Ellis, Joe Val, Wiggins. I think those guys are a lot stronger overall than McBride. They're at a 4K salary. Like if those guys weren't on the slate, McBride would be a pretty great value. So Fields at 6% on McBride. I got him at 17. So pretty big stand pro McBride for me. He's not like a must-have, but he's like a pretty good value overall. And if they start McBride, I would think they do, but if they don't, it's fine. He'll still probably get you like about mid-20s minutes, maybe high 20s. Top and finally start for the Pacers if Turner ends up. We're talking. Yeah, it's not a question to me. But yes, please ask him for all of this inside info. That's really been very helpful in general. The one time he got it right. Besides that here, another values to highlight right now. More can open up. Devin Carter getting more minutes today with De'Aaron Fox. He's been an okay producer. There's a guy, Mason Jones, on the Kings as well, who's going to look okay at 3K minimum salary. But really, neither guy is a great play, Carter or Mason Jones. But at 3K flat, I think they're in the hunt. And I would also highlight here, because he's not in the projection set right now, or he's not, in with the minutes he could get. As I mentioned, if Damian Lillard is out, Ryan Rollins is going to matter a lot in the slate. He'll be your starting point guard, probably getting about high 20s minutes with Delon Wright, I would guess, getting the minutes behind him. So that's going to matter a lot as well if we do get Lillard out. All right, let's go game by game, guys. Again, it's a lot of info to get out here, but if you get value out of it, and hopefully you can stick with me because there's too much shit to talk about on an NBA slate, please subscribe down below with the like button. Leave a comment. It also goes a long way for me. Here, just one guy running an NFL channel, NBA channel. NFL fans, have no fear. Got a couple of videos coming out for the Super Bowl this week, including tomorrow. We're tuned for the big board as well, so check that out. But lots going on here on Splash. Please do subscribe, hit the like button. Check out our sponsors too, in particular, Unabated, $30 off with promo code SPLASH and Unabated. They have NBA DFS projections on there that not a lot of people are using. I can tell you that. It'll help you out a lot to get unique on DFS slates if you want to get your own set of projections or a set that you know is not going to be played by everybody in the field, like Stokastic's data, like some other ones out there. But also, again, great betting tools that we talk about here. And if you like content like this being free, I really encourage you to check out Unabated, because I could not do the show if it were not for you guys signing up for them. So please keep signing up for Unabated. Check it out. Click the link in the description. Use promo code SPLASH. And Stokastic, which you're going to see some data from here, in particular the ownership and the Sims tool. I'll show you guys 15% off promo code SPLASH at Stokastic as well. Also linked in the description down below. All right. Oh my God. And yes, Thomas Bryant would likely get the starting run if Turner is out, but that's, I can't have the brain power to manage that right now. Because I would in fact think that would be Thomas Bryant getting the start. Toppin gets more minutes a little bit through that prism, but I don't know that Bryant's going to be enough of a good play on the slate because they haven't given him crazy high minutes. Bryant's 3,200 though. So yeah, it might matter more than I would think. Yeah, Turner would open up probably mid-20s minutes for Thomas Bryant in projection. That's how that goes. Anyway, let's go game by game here, guys. Too much to talk about, so let me try to get on track here. We got first game up. Why did it scroll all the way down again? There are too many fucking games. Washington, 105.3 implied points. Charlotte, 110.3 implied points. So two teams we know are not very good. Not an incredibly high total game here, so you're not expecting them to abuse each other defensively on that side. That said, pretty big stand in favor of Joe Val. I would say for Joe Val, this is the kind of matchup you want to see him in, going against a guy like Mark Williams. He's going to stay close to the rim, give him a shot to get some rebounds, get a shot to get some putbacks. He's probably to get blocked a little bit as well by Mark Williams, but they can't really go small. You kind of need Joe Val out there, whether it is against Mark Williams or against Diabate in the second unit. So Joe Val, 26-minute projection. You also don't expect the Hornets to blow him out, so that probably increases the shot of Joval getting a fourth quarter stint. So I think he's good chalk again today. That said, I have failed you guys. Joval's failed us really as a collective unit here. But like I play Joval whenever he's a starter and SARs and out. I would keep doing that as long as the price tag is reasonable. The price tag is reasonable. I have in half my lineups right now. Jordan Poole, Q tag on him. If he's out, you get more Brogdon, more Kuzma, more Koulibaly. As it is right now, I think Jordan Poole looks like an okay play. Those guys wouldn't look like great plays if Poole were out, but they would look better. And that's kind of it for Washington. Let's try to make up some time here. Charlotte, 110.3 implied points. As I've talked about here, always willing to get Miles Bridges. Put him on the thumbnail last week. He went nuts. Talked about it in the video after that. He had a really good game in spite, nobody playing him that game. Over the weekend, had another 45 fantasy point day with a double-double. Miles Bridges basically becomes a different player when you don't have LaMelo out there. No Brandon Miller as well. The opportunity for Bridges at 9K is still pretty decent ceiling opportunities, especially if Mark Williams were to fail, maybe get a few less rebounds, get in foul trouble. Bridges can maybe hit the ceiling more. The issue for Bridges is I'm not sold that he plays 34.2 minutes here. That's Stokastic has him for. He's been kind of capped around mid 33-ish minutes, including in games where it went to the fourth quarter. He could theoretically add a few more minutes in there, but I don't know that Bridges can get you to 40 minutes, which would be where he can really get you to 60 fantasy points. So I don't think you're missing out if you don't play Bridges. That said, 5% for the field. I got him at 12%. In lineups where you don't pay up all the way for Jokic and SGA, and I think you take a bunch of guys in that 8 to 9K range with your value, I think Bridges is going to look better. So getting him in some lineups here, more than double the field, but not really a big stand. Mark Williams, 27% for me, 11% for the field. Another guy here who benefits from not having ball, and also Miller out there. Obviously, the spot versus Washington as well. Should be in position to get some blocks, get some stocks. Also get a good amount of rebounds in the situation as well against Joval. I think it's one of those things where we talked about a few times where maybe you run the risk of you got ownership going to Mark Williams for me. At least I have a good amount, more than 2x the field. Good amount for Joval on the other side as well for both the field and me. Maybe they kind of cancel each other out a little bit and, the other guy boxes out the other one and other guys grab rebounds. It does sometimes happen in these kind of landlocked center matchups, let's call it, guys who don't, play outside too much, mostly stuck by the rim. That'd be your one risk for Mark Williams, that maybe they kind of cancel each other out a little. But I think what's more likely is both guys have double-doubles, get shots at the rim. Two teams that are going to miss a lot of shots as well. So I like Mark Williams still. Have him at 27% of my lineups. Frankly, I'd have more if the slate were a little bit different. Beachich is a Q tag. I'd watch out for him. If he doesn't play, KJ Simpson, I think, would be in play. He's only averaged 0.75 fantasy points per minute, but when he does play lead guard, he contributes in every category, gets some rebounds, gets some assists, gets some points as well. Like KJ Simpson from how he's played on the year, if he were to start, I would take shots at him at 4,400. But really, nobody here projects that well. If Beachich is out, I think you're probably going to, for the most part, see ownership not jump in a crazy way. Atlanta, 116 implied points. Detroit, 120.5 on their side. Trae Young looks awful. I ran the rates today for court time without Bogdan Bogdanovic and Jalen Johnson. Trae still doesn't gain a whole lot in usage or opportunity. He has averaged 1.12 fantasy points per minute in court time without those guys this year. He shot pretty poorly during that period, though. It's been 950 possessions, and he's averaged about 50% true shooting. So a little bit worse than where is he at? 55.6%. So if he hits some more shots, it would look a little bit better. But Trae Young really is one of those guys where I've talked about it a lot here. He occasionally does have an outlier day, but in general, for a median projection, Jalen Johnson off the court just doesn't make him that much better of a play. Other guys take more usage in particular. Dyson Daniels gets more shots up, gets more assists up as well. Hunter will take a little bit more away as well. I think those guys are better plays relative to Trae Young in the slate. So not really feeling that right now. Dyson Daniels, really nothing here for Atlanta. No big stands, but not a bad total for Atlanta. Competitive spot on paper as 4.5-point dogs versus Detroit. And Atlanta, not tanking for anything because I believe the Spurs have they're currently a number one overall pick potentially. So, Atlanta right now, a team that I don't really see a whole lot of utility in. DeAndre Hunter at small forward, power forward is probably an okay play, but really this slate, there's going to be much better values to go to, much better opportunities. Detroit, 120.5 implied points here. Cade Cunningham is my biggest stand. 22% of my lineups will have him today compared to the field's 11. Jalen Duren a little bit low on, but he does project pretty well over a 5x value for me. Malik Beasley, as we talked about, does gain quite a bit overall from not having Jaden Ivey out there. I always get a little bit of Malik Beasley when he's priced reasonably, and that's the case today at 5,100. And a good matchup versus Atlanta as well. I would have him actually averaging 1.1 fantasy points per minute today. But in the spot really for Detroit, these guys look okay. It's a good spot versus Atlanta, good situation. A big pace up overall, getting about 4 possessions because of the matchup. But nobody here looks like a fantastic must-have play besides Cade Cunningham to me, being a pivot to SGA and Jokic at a higher price tag. Houston, 108.8 implied points. New York, 115.3. I believe we still have the Q tag on Şengün. I don't think that's changed unless checking Underdog right now. No. Nothing new here. Yeah, so still a Q tag on Şengün. If he's out, you're going to open up, theoretically, more Steven Adams minutes, more opportunity as well if they go small for Jeff Green at center. I guess Tari Eason at center as well could be a thing they do a little bit. But really with Houston versus New York, if Şengün plays, he doesn't look like a key play. If he goes, nobody looks that good here. If you want to play Amen Thompson 8,300 on a slate where he's not going to be played, 2% owned, I don't think it's a crazy thing to do, especially if you're not paying up for Jokic, not paying up for SGA. Besides that, though, Houston, even with Fred VanVleet out, nobody really benefits enough of a way to feel that good about it. New York, not any big stance for me here either. 17% Miles McBride with him picking up starter adjacent minutes in court time without OG Anunoby today would be the guess. But really, in the spot for New York, nobody looks that great. Anunoby's not a big enough producer where him being off the court opens up some magical situation. You just get more minutes, like I mentioned, for McBride, more for Achua. Both guys look borderline playable, more so, but McBride at 4K. One of your better values on the slate, but there's more legit values overall. But he's kind of getting forgotten because of that. So 6% owned for a guy at 4K who's going to play starter level minutes. I think McBride's worth it a little bit here. Milwaukee, 106 implied points. As we talked about here, if I had to guess, you probably don't get Lillard and don't get Brook Lopez playing today on a back-to-back. The second half of back-to-back that is for the team. Giannis already ruled out. Middleton already ruled out. Portis doubtful, but he's probably ruled out. At this point for Milwaukee, getting Lillard out would be what you want to see here, because if he did play, you run the risk of him, them losing this game, being down a lot of points by the Thunder, and Lillard getting pulled early anyway. Same thing for Lopez, even though Lopez still would not look like a great play. But Lillard people would flock to if he were starting and Giannis were out. But I think at 8,800, you can get there a little bit, but 7% for me compared to the field's 10. It just wouldn't be a big stand. If Lillard's out, though, Rollins looks better. I think if Lopez were out as well, you'd get Tyler Smith, as I mentioned. These two guys here I will highlight. People in the chat obsessing over AJ Green has been a 0.67 fantasy point per minute guy this year. It's not going to get so much better with guys out. Like, he's just going to still be the same shot-dependent guy. He'll get a few more shots up. Maybe he hits a few, but he's not going to, smash. The guys who would smash would be the guys who can hit rebounds, who can get some assists here because they need some shot creators, and guys who can just do stuff out there. I could see taking shots at Gary Trent if you got Lopez and Lillard out. I can see taking shots at Taurean Prince. I already am getting there for 11%. But I think really the big gain here would be getting Lillard and Lopez out and being able to start Rollins and Smith for this team, or know they're going to get kind of starter level minutes. Because right now the rotation's a little too steep still if Lillard and Lopez were to play. OKC on their side, we got SGA, 2x the field for me, as we talked about. Him and Jokic, I think, looks pretty appealing and easy enough to get to that it's probably played by enough of the field that you're not being sneaky if you're going to try to do it. Hartenstein, I've got a pretty good projection on, 40.3 compared to 38.2. 9% for me compared to 6% for the field. Not a big stand there, but theoretically, he's your lesser owned piece that if he were to smash, put up a 2020 game or something here, he'd be the one that's less owned and pull from SGA a little bit, pull from Wiggins and whatever else is chalky here by a little bit. Wiggins, though, I do think is good chalk. As I mentioned, people were talking about Kenrich Williams, whatever in the chat. Kenrich Williams projected to play 23 minutes by Stokastic today. Just not the kind of play you're dying to get. I'd feel better about him if there were no centers available and maybe they go small. But for Kenrich, an okay play. Wiggins is on a different tier of a play. Again, put up 60 fantasy points over the weekend with really high usage, basically filled in for Jalen Williams and became Jalen Williams in that role. If Wiggins goes nuts like that again, he also probably would cap the ceiling for SGA a little bit. He was really good overall. As I mentioned, 1.8 fantasy points per minute in court time this year without Jalen Williams, but it could be not quite as good for him if a guy like Wiggins is getting up shots, Dort's getting up more shots. It's sort of your way that an SGA could fail at that price point, or at least, not have as high of a ceiling as he probably should at that price point. Besides just a blowout, too. Sacramento, 108 implied points here. Let's try to make up some time because we want to get to the world of unabated and some bets for you guys. We got Sacramento, 108 implied points, so these guys don't project super crazy values, but they all come up a good amount here. Fields at 24%, Malik Monk, I got 21. Fields at 24%, DeMar DeRozan, I got 30. 17% Murray for the field, I got 10. Keon Ellis, 38% of the field, I got 54. None of them become a brand new man with De'Aaron Fox off the court, so I would say that up top here, especially in a low-pace spot, a low-total spot versus Minnesota. They're losing about a possession and a half here. I guess actually more like 2. They're also not really not the highest implied points at 108. So that's your concern point for them. But obviously, if you lose Fox here, you're also losing a few guys who are in the rotation. Like your Kevin Herter, even though he's been kind of in and out. I think Sacramento's an okay play. There's a lot of ownership for them overall, though. Against a Minnesota team that's pretty good. If Anthony Edwards were out, the whole situation changes a little bit, and I would almost expect Sacramento to roll Minnesota on their side. But as I said, for Sacramento, getting a lot of these guys, I'm not crazy over the field. Any of them, I guess, Keon Ellis being the exception, but he's so cheap. I don't want to go crazy on the Sacramento guys because I don't know that any of them is like a smash play. They're all they're priced soft for no De'Aaron Fox, but none of them are priced to be like, must-have kind of plays. And Domantas Sabonis is going to be unowned despite the lack of Fox, so tough match versus Rudy Gobert on paper, but it's Domantas Sabonis. He's smashed a lot of different spots, so I have no issue going there. Minnesota, if Anthony Edwards were out, it would matter a lot more, but you do have Julius Randle out right now. That said, Naz Reid is kind of priced up for it already at 6K. Getting 10% Naz Reid is how this looks for me right now. 9% Rudy Gobert, close to the field on that. Low on Anthony Edwards, gave him the rate boost overall without Julius Randle. He's averaged 1.24 fantasy points per minute without Randle, so not a huge jump up as much as you'd like to see for him when he's been averaging 1.2 normally anyway. So kind of the same thing we talked about with Trae Young, where if guys don't get a meaningful change of situation without the players being out, like people then go those guys a little bit more. They probably should because the rates show us that guy's not really a different man overall. Anthony Edwards, I would say, gaining 0.04 fantasy points per minute, relatively the same player with Randle on or off. So the other guys look better to me, but really none of them are big stands for ownership overall. San Antonio. So San Antonio basically lost no rotational pieces from the trades they made. I assume De'Aaron Fox is not going to play today, but I did keep him in here. DraftKings currently has him listed as a king, but if he were available for the Spurs, I presume you would still get the fantasy points for him. If he were to play, he would make Wemby unplayable at 10.8. He would make Vassell unplayable at 6K. He'd make Chris Paul unplayable at 5,700. As it is, I'm still low on all these guys here with Vassell actually looking pretty chalky, 24% of the field there. I think there's better values on the slate, but if you don't get, I guess, crazy value opening up like in Milwaukee, maybe Vassell makes a little more sense, but I got him 11% here, so I'm not really sure. It would have to change for me to get more. Memphis on their side, Ja Morant is questionable. Desmond Bane is out. With Bane out, you're going to get more minutes for Jake LaRavia, more minutes for, I guess I didn't give a lot more for John Conchar, more for Jalen Wells, more for Luke Kennard. I don't know. Memphis doesn't look that great right now with Morant in. If Morant's out, Jaren Jackson look a lot better. I would really have a hard time playing Jaren Jackson right now with Morant in. The rates just don't increase enough for him overall without Desmond Bane, and I would have him at 1.37 fantasy points per minute. I guess downgrading for the matchup a little bit here in the team total. I would have him at 1.26 today, but I don't know. If you want to take a tournament shot at him, somebody in the chat, I think it was Jake, was saying like, oh, Jaren Jackson, the nuke of the night. If Ja Morant's out, yes. If Jaren Jackson is getting Ja Morant in, I don't think he's like a smash play at his current salary. And that's that. Luke Kennard, though, decent value if he gets the usual run he's been getting without Ja Morant. Your assumption is that, I guess Stokastic assumption rather, is that he's going to take the minutes that Bane leaves behind. You get it. There's a chance I think LaRavia could start over Kennard, but I'm not sure. Like if they have them projected for this much of a minutes difference overall, none of them look that good. Yeah, Pippen, no. 18 minutes is projection here. It's just, if Ja's out, it's a different game. Right now, though, assuming these guys are in, and I really don't want to talk about more Q-tag things. If Morant's out, it's going to open up Jackson a lot more. It's going to open up Kennard a lot more. It's going to open up Pippen a little bit more, I would think. That's about it. And Pippen's minutes aren't really as guaranteed as they should be, but he would look okay if Ja's out. No matter what, though, Bane is already out, so that's been accounted for. Indiana, 124.3 implied points, really high total for them going against Utah. So that said, I got not a lot of this game overall. Yeah, not more than 5% ownership for me for anybody on Indiana. The field's going to play 11% Halliburton, 13% Siakam, 10% Miles Turner. The main thing for me is getting Mathurin back in the lineup here makes these guys look less good. Mathurin, though, with his illness, he did play less minutes, I believe, over the weekend. So projected today for 25 minutes. Would say for Indiana, it's a really high total. I don't love getting none of the guys here. It's a high total and a shitty matchup. Kind of feels like getting a tournament option from Indiana seems like a good move, and the field's doing that at a good amount. If Miles Turner is out, as talked about, Thomas Bryant probably gets you to like 25 minutes. In a projection, he would look better. Obi Toppin would look better as well. Nothing here I think is a must-have, though, if everybody is in right now. For Utah, 117.3 implied points. John Collins is the only guy I'm getting above the field here by a meaningful amount. 12% for me, 7.4% for the field. That said, none of them look that great with the minutes being capped because you have, like a 4-guard rotation now with Sexton, with Collier, with Clarkson, with George. You also, when you have Markkanen in and Kessler and Collins, that gets a little crowded as well. It's a nice total for these guys, but the rotation is now fully fleshed out. So I don't think anything looks that great here. Besides, Collins is probably a little bit too cheap. That was played on the year with a 1.16 fantasy point per minute pace. Oh my God, there's still so many fucking games. New Orleans, 115.8 implied points. Denver, 126.3 implied points. DeJounte Murray torn Achilles last time he did a video, so he is now out for the rest of the year. Zion Williamson, as I talked about, averaging about 1.7 fantasy points a minute overall. Let me confirm that number. 1.73 without Murray and without Ingram on the court this year. And that includes a 40% usage rate, actually 42%, 41% assist rate, 18% rebound rate. He's just like a monster. It's only been 320 possessions without those two guys, but basically he should be a large portion of the offense here. Now for Zion, guy who's not in the greatest shape, now he's going into altitude. If you want to give a little bit more of a dock to Zion than I'm giving here, I think Stokastic playing him 28 minutes feels like enough of a dock. You can do that, but Zion at 7% owned. I got him at 23. Definitely a big pro stand in favor of Zion for me today, and I'll take the risk on the altitude and him being fat or whatever. I'll take that risk because I think he's too cheap for how well he's played overall without Murray and without Ingram. Love Alvarado here. Alvarado here also looks pretty good, 4,800. Upside's kind of priced out a little bit at 4,800. When you have Murphy and when you have McCollum and when you have Zion in, if you had at least one of those guys out, they can make a better case for Alvarado. But at 4,800, not a bad play. The 26.6 minutes projected for him feel a little bit light as well because he's probably to be a guy who's in good enough shape at altitude based on just how he is as a player. I think he can get a few more minutes here than they have projected for, but most of the rotation is in, even though Murray and Ingram aren't in. Like they've had enough guys who played meaningful minutes. So Alvarado, I think, not as great of a value play as a lot of the other guys we've talked about already. Denver, a lot of Jokic. The field this morning, Stokastic got at 40. Came down a little bit here. I've got him still at 39% of my top 150. Again, I had him over 70 fantasy points for most of the day today. The total moved enough / Stokastic moved his minutes enough that I'm not there quite as much, but I'm at 69.8, one of the best projected plays overall for a single game here. So Nikola Jokic in the spot, I think a very strong play overall. Jamal Murray, I have not been there on some of the breakout days. Still think overall the rates don't support going there again. He's at 1.02 fantasy points a minute. He's still creeping up from the 0.94 he was at for a lot of the year, but he's had a lot of outlier days to get there. You have no Westbrook out there, but the main thing that stands out to me with the minutes with Jamal Murray and no Russell Westbrook, he's averaged 1.08 fantasy points a minute, which is basically a little bit lower than I have him today at 1.11. So I'm not sold on Murray being the play. I'm also not sold on Brown going off. I would expect things to kind of restabilize a little bit here. And Porter Jr. being good, through that prism. Gordon being good here through that prism. These guys are all appropriately owned, but I am above on Porter, 37%. Compared to the field's 27. I'm up on Gordon as well, 57% compared to the field's 26. It's a high total here, and you're missing two relatively key rotational guys for Denver. So really make the case wherever you want. Brown is the less owned of the group, so you want to point chase, you can there. But the longer-term sample size would make me want to believe that you get more Porter Jr. hitting today, you get more Gordon hitting today, and those guys are the better projected options for me. And here's your FanDuel slate games, which I just can't bring myself to care about ever, but especially on a slate with this many DraftKings games. Here's the projections. You can see them here. Suggs being out. Cole Anthony still not really a play with Anthony Black getting more minutes. Golden State. Honestly, these games kind of look like shit anyway. But Phoenix, if you got a late Kevin Durant trade today, maybe that would open some stuff up, but I don't think it looks that good. Don't think that Brown's actually good value. No, he's an okay play. There's a difference, like value when the price comes up to 5K, it's not really value anymore. At that point, it's like just a player in a rotation. So Brown is an okay player in a rotation, but he's not really value anymore. He's just a dude that had one outlier day recently and that you're probably waiting up a little bit more because he had that outlier day recently. Let's go to unabated now. But the thing with Brown is that you do get leverage on Jokic if you play him. So if Brown hits, Jokic probably scores less. Like it's same push pull we always talk about with NBA DFS. Let's go to unabated now, guys. Let's run the video here. Let's get some good bets in with unabated's data. And let me show you that video right now so you can learn about unabated and their traditional NBA projections. Of course, the presenting sponsor of this very little show, this cute little show, whatever. I was going to say something nice there and it said very little. Very little doesn't sound good. You never want to call anything very little. fan, a name you know from Underdog, from Fantasy Labs before that, from Basketball Monster. Now he's unabated with a team, putting together projections every day. DeJounte Murray, keep him out. This now has gotten very dated. Now, Zion Williamson is the one we're going to click in conditional projections. DeJounte Murray is just going to be permanently out. Sad to see. Real-time NBA news. You want to see news about Luka Doncic trades, go to Unabated. Don't worry about people being hacked. Graphs. You got graphs. You know those graphs. We talk about these graphs every day. The most important thing in DFS is just having good graphs to look at occasionally. Expert live streams. They go on around the same time as this one, so you can watch them. You can not. Follow your heart. You can chat. Count your money. Much like a Vegas casino would. You can see here the graph of the ROI here given by Unabated on the year. You can see that number moving on up. That's what would be happening for you. You took all the bets at a 5% higher sim EV ROI, $100 units here. You'd be up legit almost 40K. So obviously the same would apply if you put in $10 bets. That's what Unabated does for you. So make sure to check it out for yourself. Our guy Chris in the chat earlier had asked about showing Unabated, which I do here on stream every day. So I'm not sure what else I could show you. Yes, the grass are keeping you from being very little. Thank you. Yes, the water is cold. Shrinkage with graphs. But here's what we do here on stream. What you can do is the same thing for yourself. Again, what I do is I keep all the guys who are questionable just out of the pool entirely. This way, we're not worried about projections that can move around. Obviously, some of your biggest EV is going to be from when a player is ruled in or ruled out. You can quickly sim it out where, Anthony Edwards, oh shit, he's out. What happens to the T-Wolves with Edwards being out? So you could sim that out quickly, get a projection set pulled in. That's what Unabated could do for you. But you're just basically pulling in the data here, flicking the Unabated projections. Then we're simulating. We're going to find the best bets for all the points bets available right now with teams that don't have any players with the Q tag. All right. Just make sure we pull them all in. If you want a little usage hack, that is one way to make sure that you're sorting everything as you kind of scroll all the way down. Scroll back up because sometimes a little bit of a delay because of all the info you're getting on screen messes up the sorting process a little bit. Here we got Dyson Daniels under 15.5 points. Good to go in Underdog. Usually Underdog beats these lines on Unabated pretty fast. Not right now. So you got the lower on Dyson Daniels 15.5 points, and you probably don't want anywhere else. So Dyson Daniels lower on Underdog 15.5 points. Gets you 15% EV. Aaron Gordon, we've talked a lot about him in this video, is one of the best values on the slate. You're getting over 12.5 points for him, giving you 13.4% EV. Also an Underdog pick'em. You can bet it on DraftKings and looks better on FanDuel though. Over 12.5 points for Aaron Gordon there. So DraftKings over 13.5, FanDuel's over 12.5. Anytime you're getting the less, one less point. Hopefully I don't have to explain that to you, but it's a really important part for betting if you're betting it over. Minus 128 odds on FanDuel, good. So Aaron Gordon over 12.5 on FanDuel and Underdog if you can get it. And DraftKings still close to playable at over 13.5. Jose Alvarado at 11.5 points. So even though the chat likes him, again, he's not a high usage guy when you do have some of the other key guys in for the Pelicans that they do have today. Under 10.5 points, plus 100 odds, gets you 7.4% EV. As you can see, they just soften that line in real time here. So when something flashes yellow, as when Unabated is giving you an update from their APIs that they're pulling. But Jose Alvarado still looking okay here, 7.4% EV. Over 10.5 points at plus 100 odds. Josh Hart under 13.5 points. This one moved a little bit as well. Minus 114 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook gets you 7.5% EV for Josh Hart under 13.5 points. Nyeko Kongwu under 12.5. Oh my God, everything is moving. Under over 12.5 points for Okongwu, minus 120. Look, it's not, they don't make it easy to stream, but it is easy to get your bets and make sure they're good and updated. Over 12.5 points for Okongwu, 9.1% EV. DraftKings Sportsbook, minus 120 odds. Jalen Brunson, or 27.5 points on PrizePicks, gets you 9% EV. Looks like it's not bettable anywhere else right now, but Brunson under 27.5 points. Good to go on PrizePicks. And Vic Krejci over 5.5 points. Again, a lot of opportunity to go around for an Atlanta team that at this point, I don't even know what they're doing for this year. But 8.3% EV for Vic Krejci over 5.5 points at FanDuel Sportsbooks, minus 122 odds. Let's go to rebounds next. Let me also get a sip of water here. Going full auctioneer mode, reading off all the data at once. Really takes it out of you. And we're scrolling all the way down, making sure we get all the bets in, which honestly might also be me being superstitious, but it does tend to work a little bit better when we do it that way. Jose Alvarado. Oh, wait, nope, things are moving. Mikal Bridges, over 2.5 rebounds for him. So more opportunity to go around with no OG Anunoby. Over 2.5 rebounds gets you 14.5% EV on PrizePicks. Looks like it's been pulled everywhere else, but Bridges good to go on PrizePicks over 2.5 rebounds. Zachary Rizache, 14% EV on over 3.5 rebounds. Also on PrizePicks. Still bettable on DraftKings, 7.4% EV on there, and a little bit less EV, but still bettable on FanDuel, minus 142 odds, over 3.5 rebounds for Rizache on there. Grayson Allen over 3.5 rebounds, plus 135 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook, gets you 12.4% EV. Not on your pick'em sites and not good enough on FanDuel's ticket on DraftKings, where it's 12.4% EV at plus 135 odds. For Grayson Allen over 3.5 rebounds. Jose Alvarado under 2.5 rebounds, plus 114 odds here. It's a 12.1% EV on DK Sportsbook, and you probably don't want it anywhere else. Malik Monk over 3.5 rebounds, minus 110 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Gets you 10.4% EV. Still bettable on the pick'em sites if you're looking for one to flush out a card over 3.5 rebounds for Monk on there. But would say on FanDuel Sportsbook, it does look the best by a wide margin. That 10.4% EV for Malik Monk over 3.5 rebounds. Isaiah Stewart over 4.5 rebounds, minus 115 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook, gets you 9.1% EV for Isaiah Stewart over 4.5 rebounds, playing the backup big role for Detroit, and no Capella out there, so probably gets a little bit easier for him. Yves Missy over 6.5 rebounds today, minus 140 odds for DK Sportsbook, gets you 8.4% EV, and you can still take it on PrizePicks as well. Over 7 rebounds for Yves Missy, gets you 7.1% EV. EV on Yves Missy. It's a stupid sounding sentence. Sounds like something that'd be in one of Luca's books that we read before bedtime. He always gets different seasonal ones based on the holidays. So we currently have some Valentine's Day books, including one awful seeming Disney Junior show about like a vampire town. Like Vampirina is one of the characters. It's fucking awful. I've only heard Alex read it, but I have not enjoyed it when it has been read. Under 1.5 assists for Julian Strother, plus 110 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook, gets you 13.2% EV. You probably don't want that Strother bet anywhere else, but under 1.5 on DraftKings Sportsbook looks good for Julian Strother. Mikal Bridges, over 2.5 assists, minus 140 odds on DK Sportsbook, gets you 12.1% EV, and that one's also been pulled everywhere else. Jose Alvarado, 11.6% EV for under 5.5 assists for him, so all under bets for Alvarado with Unabated's data. Plus 120 odds on DK Sportsbook gets you the 11.6% EV. That's the top. PrizePicks also good for Alvarado, under 6 assists there, 9.3% EV. Karl Anthony Towns, 11.1% EV for him, under 3.5 assists, minus 132 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Larry Nance, under 1.5 assists, 8.4% EV, and that's the lower on Underdog today for your pick'ems. Michael Porter Jr., 8% EV rounded up at minus 110 odds, under 1.5 assists for him. And the Strother line just moved, and that's enough from here. Last but not least, PRAs, and we'll run a DFS sim, and I will hop over to the deeper dive again today on Stokastic, guys, so tune in there. 5 p.m. start time Eastern coming up for the deeper dive on Stokastic. Check it out. And I think there's going to be a little more betting talk on there with the Odds Shopper tool, so you want more bets, you can see more bets there. Listen, Unabated and move off Alvarado, but you wanted to play Alvarado. Alvarado's not gonna be that chalky, man. I think if you're doing the meta game here, you can play all the Alvarado you want. It seems like, because I think there's gonna be better value on the slate. Especially, I'm telling you, if Lillard comes out, like there's no world to me where you should play Alvarado over Ryan Rollins, playing him in a lineup with him. But Alvarado, I think, is really unstable value right now. Not unstable, but there's gonna be better values that open up than Alvarado to price tag on DK. But hey, all unders here for Alvarado, including this one. Under 20.5 PRAs for Alvarado, 17.6% EV on Underdog right now. PrizePicks has moved, so you don't want it there. Alvarado under 19.5 on DraftKings Sportsbook also looks good, 12.9% EV. Lillard is out. Is that official? Because that was not the case before the show. Please. Oh, we got Lillard ruled out. Okay. Well, that's fuck, man. I'm gonna have to update all the data again. Yeah, dude, I've been doing a show for the last hour. You fuck. You fucking kidding me? Suck my fucking dick, Nate. I'm sorry. That's a laugh. That's a laugh. Yes, Lillard was ruled out 20 minutes ago, which I've been streaming that entire time period. Thank you for the update, guys. Somebody could have dropped it in chat before if you really wanted me to know it. But yes, Lillard is out now, and I could see that because I have a moment to check Twitter. You guys are fucking unbelievable. You could see me on camera. You fucking, what am I, a magic newsman? I'm reading you different data points for fucking 50 minutes straight, you cocksuckers. PRAs. Jalen Duren under 27.5 PRAs, 10% EV here. I even said that I thought he would be out. I couldn't have covered it any more with the information I had before doing the show. Jalen Duren, 10% EV under 27.5 PRAs, minus 110 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. Tim Hardaway Jr., 10% EV on over 14.5 PRAs. That one is on PrizePicks. Good to go on there. Let's see. We got Josh Hart. Thank you for the besitos. Look, again, do you realize how hard it is to fucking do this information, guys, and pay attention to all of you guys? It's really difficult to do this stuff. I don't think you... Please do a stream and come back to me when you grasp that, but I appreciate it. I'm still muting anybody that's going to be a dick about it. Sorry. Take a 5-minute break if you're going to be annoying. We got Josh Hart. I'm not going to be wrong here. I'm doing a lot. That's it. Thank you, John Daly. Josh Hart under 29.5 PRAs. We got Josh, you know what? While we're muting, guys, take a 5-minute for Josh Frick, too. Josh Hart under 29.5 PRAs, 9.3% EV on Underdog. Anywhere else, you're not going to bet it. Mikal Bridges over 22.5 PRAs, minus 120 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook, 7.6% EV. Like, I don't think you guys grasp how hard it is to cover an NBA slate where there's moving pieces the entire fucking stream. So please, man, please don't fucking do the well actuallys to me. I get it. I appreciate everybody who drops things that are helpful. Thank you for that. Mad respect. I appreciate it. All right. You got the fucking PRAs. Let's just do a DFS sim. I need to redo all my data before the deeper dives. So let's fucking get it right. Fucking unbelievable. Hopefully there's an update for Ryan Rollins and whatever I'm going to do. Let me log in here. It is money time. Thank you. Money time sometimes has data updates after stream ends. Let's build these lineups here. Again, you're not going to worry about my data if you're questioning it here, because I didn't know Damian Lillard got rolled out while I was doing a stream. Everything here with Stokastic we're going to see right now is their projections, their minutes, and all of that. The data you saw in the beginning of the video is me taking Stokastic minutes, overlaying my projections off of that as a baseline. So you saw my sim exposures. Obviously, the Lillard stuff's going to move around now that we know he's out. I think Rollins going to be a key play. Did Brook Lopez get rolled out? Because I don't see that on Underdog's handle. They might have to play Brook Lopez because of the lack of big men. Anyway, Ryan Rollins, so I talked about at the beginning of the video. If you want to scroll back, I would guess is probably one of the most important plays in the slate, and I am not sure if these projections are going to update for that right now. But let's go over here, see what we're building. Yeah, they haven't updated yet, so we're not going to get Ryan Rollins in this set, and that's not going to be accurate either. It's so fucking difficult, man. It's been really difficult covering NBA the last 2 weeks, not because of the trade stuff, but because of the fact that like the projection sources have been updating their minutes at different time frames. And then also like I've had to do all the rotations myself every day for the last 2 weeks. So like, there's a lot of moving parts here for a given slate, guys, that are really difficult to keep tabs on. And in particular, right now, the difficult part is that Ryan Rollins is probably the most important play on the slate. And Stokastic minutes, or their sim rather, is not going to count for Ryan Rollins because their projections haven't updated for Lillard being out yet. So it's tough to talk about slates with imperfect data as one thing that I've realized over the last couple of weeks. And with the sim, we're going to have an imperfect thing right now because you're going to get a lot more Ryan Rollins than the sim is going to give you. Pray we get Ja way closer to lock. At this point, just get the data out of the way. Andre Jackson Jr., anybody from Milwaukee's in play now. Anybody from Milwaukee. With Lillard being out, they're all in play. But I don't have the projections to show you for it, unfortunately. Oh, fuck. Anyway, guys, it's been a fucking another stressful NBA slate here. But please do hit the like button, subscribe. Even if you annoyed me today in chat, please hit the like button here. I'm still going to keep doing the best I can every day. And sometimes I don't see every Twitter alert as I'm talking about complex DFS concepts and all the data that I have at the screen here. So that's the one caveat I'll give you guys here on stream. But please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Let's go a long way here. Check out our sponsors too. Unabated $30 off with promo code SPLASH. Again, they are really a key part of things here. Unfortunately, I didn't have my Unabated Discord alerts popping up on screen here. If I did, I would have known exactly the news I needed to. So that's on me with Unabated and all the tools they put at my fingertips. Promo code SPLASH at Unabated. Check the link in the description. And Stokastic, 15% off. And let's see what their data has. And of course, their data loves Damian Lillard, who's not playing now. So, oh man, it's just like it's hard to do a video with imperfect stuff. Is how I feel about this. And the NBA makes me do it every day, and it has been so difficult. It's part of why I'm glad I haven't done many NBA videos lately, or NFL videos rather, the same day, because like the NBA's required so much fucking work every day, especially with projection sources not being updated before the video. Like, it's been driving me nuts, guys. So that's why, if you wonder why I'm like extra persnickety today, that's the reason why. That's it. Nate, I gotta say, I don't care. Take another 5 minutes. We're moving on here. But the point is, like, I just want you guys to understand this is a really difficult process to do, and some of the sites are not making it easier on me right now. And that one with Lillard. So basically, Lillard being in the projection set, you're getting a lot of Lillard. As a result, now we're not going to get a lot of Lillard, and that's it. So unfortunately, that's the way it looks right now. But we took Lillard out of this run of lineups, so now we're going to see his best we have. But really, I have to warn you guys here, this is not a perfect sim right now because Lillard is still in the data, but he's not playing, and everything is simmed off of that, and it's all fucked up. And this is me getting frustrated with it. We got Malik. You fucking kidding me? Like, that has to be a bit. Out of all the things that don't matter on the slate, that matters the least out of all of them. Malik Monk, Keon Ellis, DeAndre Hunter, Keegan Murray, Jalen Duren, Jose Alvarado, Aaron Wiggins, Nikola Jokic. So with Lillard being taken out, you're just you, Josh. You're just you. Cade Cunningham, Malik Monk, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, Jonas Valanciunas, Jose Alvarado, Aaron Gordon, Jalen Duren. Number 3, Malik Monk again, Keon Ellis, Devin Vassell, Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren, Jamal Murray, Aaron Wiggins, Mark Williams. Number 4, we have Cade Cunningham, Malik Monk, Aaron Wiggins, Santi Aldama, Jalen Duren, Jose Alvarado, Keegan Murray, Rudy Gobert. And number 5, you have Jamal Murray, Devin Vassell, Aaron Wiggins, Naz Reid, Brooke Lopez, Keon Ellis, Kenneth Williams, Nikola Jokic. I got to hop to the deeper dive, guys. So quick exposures here. Yeah, really, we're just going to run through it fast. Here's your top exposed guys: Wiggins, Ellis, Duren, Monk, J-Val, Vassell, Murray. Highest leverage guys: Duren, Wiggins, Monk, Ellis, Murray, J-Val, Alvarado. Lowest leverage guys: Isaiah Joe, Halliburton, Michael Porter Jr., Miles Turner, SGA, Jaren Jackson, DeMar DeRozan. That's it, guys. Splash plays for the day. Fucking anyone. I don't know. Nikola Jokic and SGA. But really, it's Ryan Rollins now for Milwaukee. We'll see that data when it updates. Ryan Rollins, I still think Tyler Smith's a good value. Aaron Gordon's a good value. Keon Ellis is a good value. Who the fuck else do we have here? There's too many good values. That's the whole thing. That sim is that's fair. The sim is useless, guys. Check out your own sim. Stokastic, 15% off, promo code SPLASH. I'll be back tomorrow. Fucking pray for an NBA slate that makes my life easy because I'm back on solo dad duty while the wife's in Germany for a week. So let's fucking strap in, guys. Gamble responsibly. It's always money time here. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at SplashPlayNBA. See you guys on Stokastic in a minute. Good luck. Bye-bye. Fucking pray for me. See you soon. And fuck, click the link, Chris. Bye.